Welcome back, class of 99. It's Phil Beckwith, the professional painter and decorator. Back in this room that I originally, there'll be a video there, stripped the wallpaper, did some wall rock on the wall, and now I'm back actually doing the papering. Now I'm going to try and keep this quite simple because there's plenty in the playlist on how to do wallpapering on my channel on a bit more in depth, but this is a feature wall. I want to talk about the paper I'm just going to use. I'm going to give you the basics on how you apply it. I'll show you how to get the first one on. I'll then crack on getting the rest of it on, and then I'll explain when I come to the edges what I'm doing on that. So let's try and keep it simple, but let's try and get over, I'll say get over, portray, whatever the word wants to be, to show you how you do a feature wall like this. Because it's not as difficult, don't overthink it. And particularly with this sort of paper, this is probably about 60, 70 quid a roll, top of my head, I'd have thought. Right, it's the, do you pronounce that? Scion Wallpaper, and it's a paste the wall, non-woven. It's the Cedar design, and it's 111084. Now, this is like big trees. It's a half drop match. Now, if you don't know what half drop means, if you've got a straight through match, you'll have one there, following all the way through. But if you've got a half drop, depending on the size of the half drop, you'll have a pattern there, and then the half drop is matching there. Half drop. So whatever the drop is, there might be a distance of, let's call it rounded figures, half a metre. The half drop will be at 250 mil. So if the pattern's there and the pattern's there on one length, the length next to it will be halfway between. I hope that explains it. You'll see on this paper here anyway. But without further ado, Hugh Pooh Bonner Group, Cuthbert Dibble and Grub. Let's just get, I've got all my measuring up. Let's move you so you can see me a bit better, that's better. I've got all the measuring up done, so I know where I'm starting, I know where I'm going to be with each length. You know I hung, yeah, very controversial. You know, I hung vertically with these lining paper of the wall rock, and I knew where I was going to be starting. So I knew none of my lengths of the finished paper were actually going to correspond with the joints on the lining paper wall rock, so that's fine. But what I've done, I found the middle of the wall, which is just there. Just off camera there is my laser liner. I'll spin round, but we're on a few rooms in this house, so there's bits everywhere. Can you just see there is my laser liner? That is rigged up, and it's giving me the vertical on that middle line, top to bottom. What I've done, I've just put a pencil mark on that red laser line. Where's my goggles? You'll see it. Might see it better like that. Can you see? Can you see the red line? Hopefully. Maybe not. I can see it with that. So I've actually got the middle, and the plan is I'm going to hang this paper from the middle, 1, 2, 3, and then there'll be a little strip at the side. Now, the last time this room was done, and I said it wasn't, well, I didn't know it was lined properly, and it had been on 12 years. Now, the owner has told me that they had 2 rolls. And I knew there was 2 rolls because I counted up I was needing 7 drops. As a rule of thumb, a roll of paper on a, let's call it a standard sort of height wall, 2.3, 2.4, you get roughly, allow 3 drops with a pattern paper to a roll, and then you'll probably have part of a roll left. Now if I did 3 drops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6th length, which would be 2 rolls, would give me a strip at the edge, about 6 inches. I'd be short by 6 inches unless I used, like what was done before, the roll ends, and I had to, well, I would have to cut and blend and splice a piece in, and I hate the word splicing. It's more of a case of matching it up and cutting it through and faking it in. Because that's what we do, don't we? We have to fake things if we need to. It's all optical illusions with wallpapering. But this time round, the customer's been good. They've ordered an extra roll of paper, so we've actually got more than enough to do this properly. And doing it properly is going from the middle and having a balance of paper either side. So from the middle, this 3, one side and then the other, and then equal strips either side. Now with this being a lot of information to get in, with this being a half drop, I'm not too worried about the pattern because it's a busy pattern. You can see it's all the trees. I'm not too worried about getting the pattern flowing through and flowing vertically. You're going to say, what do you mean? I'll say, well, if this was a straight through pattern, call that mustardy tree, I would measure this up, spend a bit of time to get that equally on the wall. So if there's one up there, I'd expect one there, one lower down, and I'd like to get a top to bottom balance, which you could do with a straight through pattern match wallpaper, because you'd find the middle and hang from the middle, do it that way. We're not doing that today, we've got half drop. So if I did that on this, there'd only be one length that to be actually balanced like that. All of the rest of them are going to be staggered on the half drop. So there's no need to be doing that. Don't overthink it. I'm going to be hanging from the top of this roll, slightly above that tree there, cutting that tree trunk in half, but I will still get some of the blue there. And whatever it does at the bottom, I'm not too worried about. People won't be looking at that because there's furniture up against it. But going forward, like subsequent lengths, it won't always be the same at the top because it's half drop. It will move. You'll see when I start getting it all on. Hope that's... If there's any questions, just ask. I, as a professional, I know what I'm doing. But if it was a case that it was a pattern repeat that was quite predominant, some papers I do like to just stand back and think, is it better to find the middle and get an equal distance from the middle to the top, from the middle to the bottom? Because some papers can look quite pantsy if you don't actually spend a bit of time and get it right. A good example of this is if you've got circle patterns, round circle balls. I've done one before that I didn't want to have the ceiling running out, because that's the biggest thing, the ceiling could be running out. I didn't want to have a circle at the top and then the ceiling runs out and then I've got part of a circle. So what I did, I found halfway between the wall and it gave me half the circle at the top, half a circle at the bottom, and then if there was anything running out on that wallpaper, it didn't matter because optically it looked fine. But on this paper, slightly different. It's a busy paper, it's a nice paper, and I'm going to get it on now. Right, so you're asking me what tools have I got? Got my hanging brush, got my plastic smoother, which is there, which I'll use to get into the top edges. I've got a new sharp blade in me Olfler. Do you want to build a snowman? Seam roller, but I don't want to damage the paper by over seam rolling the edges. Just be mindful of that. And then I've actually got a nice sharp straight edge for cutting. I don't have a longer one than this. I have got a longer one than this, but I like to use the shorter one because if there is any little undulation on that ceiling or the skirting might be running out, I find that a longer one, matron, a longer one seems to bridge the shape or the contour, and you can suddenly find that you've cut it and there's a little bit missing a paper. I hope that makes sense. Whereas a shorter one, I can actually work it all the way along and not try and do too much all at once. So I've got all those, and tub. This is paste the wall, tub paste. You know what I'm using the wicks. I've got the Rota Gold roller sleeve, which is a medium pile this time around because I don't want to be overloading it with too much paste. And I've just got a nice 2.5 inch cutting in brush around the top. So what I'm going to do the first one there. My second one will be there, and that will give us the middle. You'll see me do that. Let me do the rest of it, and then we will come back to it, and I'll show you what the edges are like. Also, hang off the roll. You don't need to be cutting these to length. If you've got really long drops that you feel comfortable just to cut them, but you don't need to. That's why I'm going to go with this, allow 2 inches top, and when we cut at the bottom there'll be a salvage of 2 inches as well. And I've got plenty of paper because I've got 3 rolls. So there'll be a little bit of waste, but hey, what's a bit of waste between friends at £70 a roll? Right, let me crack on. Now you've just seen me roll that area. I'd marked on the wall where I knew the width was going to be. Now always read the instructions, because the instructions say don't go over dry porous surfaces, make sure you seal it properly. That'd probably be using guards or a thin down coat of your tub paste, but also it does say they recommend lining, which I've done. Now the lining paper is the Wall Rock, it's lovely stuff. Prior to filming, like now, I just went over with fine Merca Gold sandpaper just to make sure there was no spots from when I'd done the ceilings and the walls, no spots of paint on them. So these are actually lovely and smooth. I've dusted off around the edges as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hang now to that centre line. The laser's still on, but probably me moving around it now has knocked it offline, but it doesn't matter because I've already got the pencil marks on the wall. So watch what I'm going to do and ask any questions in the comments below. And while I've got you, please read the description, because there are a few links that you might want to look at while you're waiting. Well, I'll say waiting for paint to dry. Sweating. Now you've seen me do those, I've fast forwarded it and I'm just coming in to show you what I'm on about. Right, can you see the yellow tree there? It's staggered, it's halfway. That's your half drop. You see 1, 2, halfway. That's why I said if I was going to be doing a straight through pattern, I'd try and get these equal top and bottom. Doesn't matter on half drop. You'll be forever and a day trying to work it out and then realise at the end of the day that it doesn't matter. But what I want to do point out is, if I can show you there, can you see? Let's bring you back a bit. It's a busy paper. You're not going to notice a regimented pattern like I'm going to go yellow tree, yellow tree, yellow tree, and go, why isn't that balanced with one at the bottom? It's half drop, because you've got yellow tree there, yellow tree there, yellow tree there. What you will have is it matching on that half drop. Don't matter, let's forget. Don't matter. Right, I'm going to show you this. This is what I want to show you. Frustrations of a paper hanger. Right, always match your pattern at eye level, which is round about there, 5 to 6 foot. So I've got the pattern matched there and there, spot on. But the way this wall is and the way the plastering is, it's running out. It's not to do with the non-woven paper, because the non-woven paper will be really good. But when I drop down to this one here, it is just starting to be off on that edge and there. And by the time we get down to the one even lower, probably about 2mm out. Nothing you can do about it. So long as you match at eye level, and this is what my eye level will be there, because that's the main one that's got the pattern matching there and there. That is spot on. I can't get any better than that. My joints are butt. I've used the seam roller. I've got them all down. It's still a bit wet. I've wiped them over with a warm damp sponge so there's no paste on it. But as it drops down, just the way the plastering is, the paper goes with the plaster and it extends where it wants to go. It's not stretched, it's not over soaked or stretched because it can't be, because it's a non-woven. But that is spot on. The further you go down, it's running out. So the next ones I'll do, I'll make sure that that's spot on. That's spot on. You see? Yeah. And did you notice how I hung off the roll? I put it on the bottom and drew it up because I knew what I needed to do. Got enough paper, bit of waste. It's just one of those things. So let me crack on, then I'll show you the edges. Right, a lot of what you've seen has been fast forwarded to so you don't get bored. You saw me going around a plug socket, that was straightforward. If you look at that playlist for wallpapering, I cover all that sort of stuff. There was a satellite cable coming out the wall. I just made a star cut in the paper, pulled the cable through, you probably saw that, made it big enough to get that little noggin, whatever, like trim piece in, but I didn't have to do a cut all the way through the paper, so that's good. Right, coming up to the last pieces now. I must have done right with finding the middle because both sides are measuring up around about within a couple of millimeters, 90mm. So that there, job's a good one. It's about 3 inch or something like that in old money. Let's have a look. 3.5 inch, and it's about spot on 3.5 inch either side. So what I'm going to do, I've got my last roll of paper. I'm going to pull off a length and get the length top to bottom that matches that tree there. Cut it, get it on the piece of get it on the sheet, and I'm going to cut off about 4 inch off the well, it'll be right hand side. I'll do exactly the same for the other side off another roll of paper. Don't be frightened to work off multiple rolls of paper so you don't get too much waste. I'll do the same for the other side, cut off about 4 inches, and then all a case, it's just to drop them in, just dead easy. I've got nothing to go around, it's just a case of a strip. So let me do that, and then we'll come back once I've finished. Nothing complicated about this. All I've done is offered a piece of paper up that matches the correct edge, offered it up, cut that length literally, so I'm only working off that length, and then I know I want 3.5 inches, so I've made sure that I've measured off the good edge which I want to work from, which was there. I just looked, measured 4 inches across and literally trimmed it down. So I have now got a piece that is about 4 inches and I need 3.5. And I just looked at where the pattern was and I thought, well, there's the tree stump, all I'll do is cut beyond that. Now that gives me the right width to match up that side, and I'm going to do exactly the same with that and then paste them and get them on. So if there's any questions on that, just ask below, because I don't want to make this a 40-minute video, so I'm not going to show you how you do that. But literally, we joke. I've not used the paste table. I've done it freehand. I've got a clean sheet on the floor so I could drop it down, but there's not much cutting on this. If I did have a bigger job, bigger room to do, I probably would just have a trestle and paste table up just if I needed to do any trimming down like that. But a lot of this can be done freehand. Just dropping in on this in between the video, the joints, I've got lovely butt joints, they're nice and smooth and they're down. We matched the tie level there, but you know the next length across that we were matching lower down, spot on. It was only really that length there that just threw out going down. But you know what, you're not going to see it. Look at me, look at that. Can you see it there? Probably. But other than that, we're doing good. All the other ones matching at eye level. That one's good. Even that one there's good. Below is still good. Edges on the side. We've got a nice butt joint. And the same on this side. There. Got it there as well. Nice and butt. So just one length, but make sure you match at eye level and you can't go wrong. Well, you can, but can't do any more than that. There we have it, boys and girls. What a lovely paper to hang. Really nice to hang. Now, start to finish, and don't forget I've been videoing, so that takes been a couple of hours. If I was not videoing, it'd probably be less than that. Let's just say, make sure you've always got your blade sharp. It did help if you watched the last video where I do cork round, I do cork round the edges, across the top and across the sides with a bead of cork over the lining paper. That allows the blade, the cutting blade, to go in nicely into something and not into bare plaster that could break away. So that's just my tip. Just cork all your lining paper before you start doing your finish papering, because it makes it easier. Both sides, if you look at it, we're balanced, but we're not balanced. Clearly we're not going to be balanced by the picture and the pattern, because it's a half drop. But I know that either side there and there, I am as good as 3.5 inches, 90 millimeters. So I know I've hung from the center and I've got two balanced joint cuts all the way across. Can't do any better, can't ask any better than that. Really happy, like how the drop of the paper is. And it's a busy paper, so you're not going to be looking at these patterns, are you, once I start getting the hi-fi stand back in and the Welsh dresser and stuff like that. Are those videos coming up at the side now? If they haven't, they'll be coming. Please watch. Thank you very much for listening to me. I know this has probably gone on a bit, but I do like to do a how-to of wallpapering and showing people how to do it. We can all do a TikTok, 30, 60 seconds on, this is how I do it. But you know me, I want to talk through it, the process. So if you've got any questions, you can ask me, but hopefully I do cover it all in my tutorial. Let's call it a tutorial. See you on the next one.